we've given such huge importance to the attachment to pleasure. The pleasure principle has become the all and everything of life. So we usually assume that if you're having very pleasant experience, then you must be happy. But enduring happiness actually has very little to do with pleasure, because it has more to do with what is your sense of balance. Your mind will be a very unpredictable creature at times. Sometimes pleasant experience happens, sometimes unpleasant experience happens. But whether pleasant or unpleasant, you're capable of a silence in you that is unbroken and undisturbed, unmoved. Now that is real freedom, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You're capable of pleasure, yet you're not blinded by pleasure. You're capable of pain, yet you're not blinded by the pain. So what's more essential is to learn a way of being of freedom. But we've given such great importance to the pleasure principle that we've equated pleasure with happiness, pleasure with freedom.
In some sense, when you're living a life just as pleasure, then in some sense you're very distracted from what's actually going on in life. So you're kind of controlled.
This is going to sound contradictory, okay? Now let's assume that it is better to remain balanced than unbalanced in terms of well-being.
Okay.
And being balanced is more desirable,
Yeah.
right? And learning this way of silence, which is not disturbed by pleasant or unpleasant experience, is the way towards freedom. Let's assume all of that. Doesn't that also suggest a hedonistic principle in the human mind? That this way of being is still more pleasurable? Right?
Yeah.
Wisdom is more preferable over ignorance. Insight is more preferable over delusion. Why? Because these qualities lead you towards well-being. So we still have a hedonistic mechanism that's there in the human mind. I'm not denying that. I'm saying this is very natural and instinctive. But why not take that same hedonistic mechanism and point it in a direction which can actually assist your well-being?
I think though you need friction to create growth at the same time. So it's not always good to be in the same atmosphere. You need to get out, or you don't know if you're actually growing or not because you don't have the necessary friction. Is that true?
Of course.
That's what I think.
The more chaos you're exposed to is the more it will test your limits.
So it's a good thing.
What, chaos?
Yeah, you need some chaos.
Of course.
Yeah.
Life is chaos.
It's a big,
If there's a lot of randomness that we cannot manipulate with, then life is chaos, right? In the chaos, you can organize yourself in certain ways, and some things will happen according to how you have envisioned it. But still, compare the percentage of that which is beyond your control and that which is in your hands. What is in your hands is very small, right?
yes.
So what is in our hands? We have to be methodical. We have to have a strategy. We have to have clear, organized thinking. But that doesn't raise us to superhuman status.
Yeah, I get it.
That doesn't raise us above the laws of the universe either.
It's because you always want some form of control, but there is really no such thing. So we try finding that non-friction.
There's control in a very limited sense.
Yeah.
In a very limited sense. Only because of that, right now, you have a decision that you can make. If your willingness is intense, do I want to live my life in a way that brings me true peace and contentment and freedom? Or do I want to live my life just as a slave, like a robot, repeating the same machine-like movements? Just an endless circle that is blind, without any end in sight.
I can always just try being pleasurable. That's the pleasure aspect as well. Can be slave-like. So much. Yeah, I really see that.
Yes, of course. Pleasant or unpleasantness is not a solution to breaking free of the weakness and slavery of the human mind. If the answer lied in pleasure, let's all just get drunk. Let's all get drugged up. What's the problem? Let's all just go into extreme indulgence. But everything will become crashing down, and your life will become a much greater mess than what it probably already is. Imagine everybody was living by that principle.
I think a lot of people are because they don't take care of the environment or the earth itself. So they're just indulging themselves in all the resources. So in some sense, our economy is based on that principle. So it's hard for somebody to actually grow from it.
Yeah, but at least we have certain laws that set forth certain consequences.
If you're rich, there's no such thing as consequence.
Well,
There's no such thing if you have money. You don't abide by those laws.
even if you have money,
Very rare.
even if you have money, if your agenda does not fit in to the agenda of the status quo, you're going to be targeted.
Well, yeah, that's why they use
It's money will give you some maybe political or social status, but unless you have the same vision in mind that doesn't contradict the desires of the status quo, then you will be a target. You will be turned into an enemy in spite of all your wealth and luxury and your status in the world.
Yeah.
So you must become somebody else's puppet. Unless you're willing to do that, then you have a problem.
That's right.